Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for today, Lord, and just thank you for getting us here safe and sound, Lord. We just ask that you just continue speaking through us as we get together and just share and we talk about money mindset and financial management and everything, Lord. We're here because of you, Lord, and we're just so honored and blessed to be here. We thank you. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen, baby. Let's go.
Yes, sir. What's going on, guys? My name is Anthony, and I'm so excited to host the second episode of Legacy Ledger. And I have a very special guest here. He's somebody that at one point we shared the baseball field with. Mm-hmm. And this is probably over close to 15 years ago at this point.
Sure.
And I really want to make a special introduction to now my brother, Kevin, aka Neno Torres. He's a renowned speaker. He's also the host of Mornings with Neno, and he's a big mentor and coach to many. So I'd like to introduce to my brother here, Neno. I'm so happy to have you, bro. And I'm excited that we're able to obviously sit down finally and be able to start engaging. So
yeah, thank you for having me, bro. I'm excited, man, and congratulations on everything you're doing, man. Thank you. It's an honor for me to be a part of your second episode, and I know that this is going to be something huge, bro. So appreciate you for having me, man, for sure.
No, for sure, man. And as I mentioned earlier, we go way back.
From the baseball field to the podcast now
here
in Miami.
From the baseball field to the podcast.
Who would have ever thought?
It's just crazy. It's definitely a full circle moment.
For sure.
And we've definitely spoken on this many times. And we understand that, baseball has been a big factor in both of our lives. For sure. And we wouldn't be here without the sport and everything that we've learned. So I definitely want to touch base on that side of your story. And I know you've spoken about this story many times, and really being able to leverage all the lessons that you've learned from the game of baseball. Mm-hmm. So really, I want to talk today about that transition from being an athlete to now becoming a full-time entrepreneur, full-time coach. You do a lot of things, and we're definitely gonna break that down and kind of your journey as well, and being able to see how everything now has transformed in your own life, and hopefully we're able to impact some people and have some people really resonate with that story. Yeah. And yes, there has been a lot of success in between the lines, and we want to just have people understand that this is an everyday thing. We've gone through struggles in our own lives, and we want to make sure that people are aware that this is a life that if you just stay consistent and remain faithful, you're able to accomplish anything that you want to accomplish on this earth. So agreed. Let's definitely talk a little bit more about your backstory, transitioning from just baseball into entrepreneurship. So I want to really kind of start there. Okay, so talk to me a little bit more about your transition from baseball to entrepreneurship.
Yeah, man. Baseball for me, similar to you, it was something growing up that was the dream. Growing up in the streets of New York, I come from a Dominican background. For us, being Dominican, if you grow up in Dominican Republic, for a lot of these kids, their only way off the island is to play pro baseball. So, it's kind of installed in our culture that, baseball's the way out. So growing up, baseball was something for me. I grew up in Washington Heights, New York, which is also known as Little Dominican Republic. Yeah. So baseball was big in our culture, big in our community. So growing up, I was always that kid that wanted to go pro, wanted to help my family, similar to you. And I pursued it, bro, full force. Like, that was my thing. That was plan A, plan B, and plan C for me. I never saw myself doing anything else but baseball. And, I was the kid when I would walk down the streets of New York, Neno, when you make it, I want my tickets to Yankee Stadium, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, I pursued it full force. I was very blessed and fortunate to go to George Washington High School. That's when we played against each other, which was super cool. Yeah. You guys beat us, but, I got to live with that one. That was the only loss.
Shout out to Severian.
Shout out to Severian, my brother Soto, your brother too, Steve. But it's funny because that was the only loss I had that season. I went 11-1 that season, All-American. Then I went from there. I graduated. I went to college in Oklahoma for 2 years, did a JUCO, graduated from there, went to St. John's, graduated from St. John's. And it's crazy because I had that season-ending injury my senior year in St. John's. And it was tough, because I gave my all to baseball. I never cheated. I was there every day. I ran every day. I was in the gym. I made all the sacrifices. I went to all the events, the tournaments. Like, this was the dream. And for me to have that season-ending injury in my shoulder, the last game of the season too, I feel like that's something I don't talk about enough. It was the last game of the season. You know, it was our last regular season series against Creighton, actually. And all I had to do was go out there and do what I've been doing all year, throw 92 miles an hour, throw a couple pitches for strikes, command the zone pretty good, etc. And I would have been drafted in a couple of weeks. You know, that would have been the thing. There was people at the game there to make a decision on me. And that was the game I got hurt. My mom is in the stand. My father, the whole community is there. And now I'm in a position where, yes, I graduated, but my dreams are done. All right. The dream that I worked so hard for is over. And I'm trying to figure out what's next. And I'm trying to figure out, you know, what are you going to dedicate your life to?
Yeah.
Right. Because baseball was plan A, B, and C, like I told you. So I never worked a job. I had no work experience. You know, I barely have anything on my resume. So what's next? So at that moment, to be honest with you, bro, and I know this is a podcast for us to be vulnerable. While I was in that transition period, you know, I became a product of my environment. You know, I went back to living in Washington Heights with my parents, no job. And now I'm on the streets, bro, smoking weed every day, waking and baking, going out on the weekend, staying out till 3, 4 in the morning, waking up at lunchtime. I had no purpose, no direction, completely lost in life. And like, I didn't even know what was going to happen. And then it's amazing how God works, because they say that, you know, at rock bottom comes your biggest blessing. And my biggest blessing was a friend of mine that I played high school baseball with in George Washington told me, yo, Neno, I'm trading, I'm investing, I'm doing digital entrepreneurship. I'm teaching people how to make money online. Come to an event with me. And I ended up going to that event. And that's kind of like how I transitioned over from baseball to digital entrepreneurship. But the funny thing about it, Ann, was I did it with the intention, like I was like, yo, I'm only going to do this in the meantime. Yeah. Like, I'm going to do this for now.
You're going to try it out a bit.
I'm going to try it out until I find a job. Because, bro, I went to St. John's, you know, so all my friends that I graduated with, they went and got great jobs, sales jobs, all these great jobs. So I thought that was kind of going to be like my path as well. So I was like, all right, in the meantime, while I find something like this that could pay me $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, I'll try out this digital entrepreneur thing stuff. And bro, it ended up being that it became my full-time career, because I fell in love with the idea of becoming a digital entrepreneur, making money online, and, you know, being able to travel, being my own boss. Now, it is a harder path and there is less stability, but I was willing to take that chance. And that's kind of like how the transition happened at the beginning of it. Obviously, we'll jump into a lot more, but that's kind of like how the transition happened for me, bro.
No, I appreciate you sharing that story and being very vulnerable as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can resonate with a lot of what you said. You know, I've been through those similar transitions in life. Fortunately for me, I didn't blow out my arm. You know, I was able to sign a professional contract to play independent baseball for 2 seasons and stuff like that.
Awesome.
Eventually,
where'd you play at?
I played in New Mexico in the Pecos League.
Fire.
So I played 2 seasons down there, lived down there and stuff like that. So, but being able to make that transition, and that's something I really wanted to discuss with you, but you already kind of answered that question in regards to what challenges did you face in that transitionary phase, and you already went over it. So yeah, I definitely want to get into just one simple question, right? Before we transition into the professional world and start talking about finances and money, and even how you viewed money early on, even growing up as a kid. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit. But before we do that, what's one thing that sports taught you and that you used to get into entrepreneurship?
Bro, for sure was the ability to deal with failure. I always tell people that if it wasn't for me playing a game like baseball, that, as you know, majority of it is to fail. You go up to bat 10 times, and if you fail 7 out of 10, you're still considered successful. It's the only game where you can fail that much and still be successful. So because I played a game of failure, when I came into entrepreneurship, when I got into business, it requires a lot of failure, bro. It requires you to do a lot of trial and error, and you have to have thick skin for that in entrepreneurship. A lot of people, I realized over the years, they didn't have that. So what helped me outlast a lot of the competition and a lot of the people that I started with was that I had already had that installed in me. Yep. Like, that was part of my characteristics. That was part of my persona. I knew how to deal with failure. I loved failure. I knew how to embrace failure. So in the beginning, you're going to need that because, you know, when you're going into something new, you know, you're bound to fail. You know,
it's inevitable.
It's inevitable. Failure is really the stepping stones to where you want to go to. So I would say that was the one thing that really set me apart, and the one thing that I took from basically baseball, but sports in general, because all sports require failure, that allowed me to shift that into business. That set me apart from everybody else, because a lot of people just don't know how to fail.
Exactly.
And they don't know how to deal with the failure or embrace it or look at it from a positive perspective.
Failing forward, that saying, failing forward.
Yeah, exactly. So I was able to take that, bro, and it elevated me, and still to this day I'm failing, you know, but I always look at it, like I said, a stepping stone. It's not a loss, it's a lesson. And, you know, I pop the champagne when I fail, and I'm excited about it because I know that it's just exposing areas in my life where I'm weak, where I need to get better, or just things that I need to improve in. So for me, failure is inevitable, but I love failing because it just tells me that I need to get better in those areas. And that frame of mindset was what allowed me to really excel from sports into business.
No, for sure. That's amazing, man. So let's rewind real quick. Okay, we're gonna take it back to as far as you can even remember. All right, growing up, whether as a kid, whether as a teenager, what made you and what shaped how you view money and success? Like, what is something, whether it's, you know, seeing a family member, how they manage money, like, well, or someone seeing an athlete growing up saying, wow, like these guys are millionaires playing. Like, what has shaped you growing up, and then what determined how you viewed money and success growing up?
Yeah, growing up, bro, I viewed money as it was an object that we could use to live our lives, right? And it was something that my mom and dad installed in me, which now that I'm older, I understand that they needed to change the way that they were thinking, because my mom used to always say, you know, we're all gonna die one day, so might as well spend all this money, you know. And it was always like, you know, let's eat the best, let's live our best life, and which I love that about my mom. Don't get me wrong, and I love that about my dad. Like, they didn't care to spend the money. They didn't care to spend the money on a nice, you know, gift for me for Christmas, or to eat the best food 5, 6, 7 days a week, and to do all those things. But as I started to grow up, I started to realize, like, there was no structure behind that. Right. It was just like, you know, my mom used to always say, you know, we're all going to die, so let's just spend it because we can't take it with us. But they never set up for the future. You know, my parents never set up a life insurance policy. They never set up a savings or anything like that. So they were getting money and spending it, getting money and spending it, getting money and spending it. But there was never no plan behind it. So when I transitioned into like business and entrepreneurship, I had the same mindset.
Yeah.
Yo, we're all gonna die one day. Let's just get it and spend it. So since that was installed in me since I was as young as I can remember, that was kind of like the mindset that I was kind of brought into, which was, yo, you get it, you spend it, you get it, you spend it, because at the end of the day, we're all gonna die. And that was kind of like one of those frameworks that was installed in me. I'm grateful for my parents, though. Of course. You know, I'm grateful because they did so much for me. But now that I'm older and I understand structure and I've studied this, and obviously you've helped me a lot with a lot of the financial literacy side of things, I understand that we need structure and finances, and we have to prepare for the future and for the generations to come. So that was one of those things that growing up, I would say it was awesome, but it also affected me long term because I had to learn my lessons the hard way, you know?
That was literally going to be my next follow-up question. I was like, were you taught money habits growing up, or did you learn the hard way?
No, I had to learn the hard way for sure, bro.
Yeah, majority of us definitely had to learn the hard way.
Unfortunately,
even myself, me being in the finance field, right? I still had to learn the hard way because before stepping into this career, I had to go through those bumps and bruises, and making money and then losing it all just because I didn't have proper money management skills or had no structure, like you just mentioned.
And then we weren't taught this in school either.
You weren't taught this in school.
Yeah.
So what is one lesson you wish the younger you understood earlier?
The importance of saving 10% of everything that you make. In the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, he says, pay yourself 10% of every dollar you make. I read that when I was 24 years old, 25 years old, and I applied it. And it helped me out a lot in my later years in life, but I wish I would have learned that a lot sooner, paying myself 10% of every dollar I make, because obviously now I would have a lot more and I would have saved a lot more and etc. But I wish that would have been the lesson that I would have learned a lot earlier. Obviously, there's a bunch more, but the first one that came to my mind was that one.
Yeah, people underestimate the power of savings. And, you know, every time I talk to my clients, or just even having a regular conversation about saving, I just let people know that the rate of savings is always going to beat the rate of return. We're in a society now where people are just focused on chasing the markets, putting the money in the markets, and really they don't understand that they have no control over what the market does tomorrow.
Tell me
right?
about
You can
it.
put your money, right? We've both been there, right? Where we put a lot of our eggs in the market, and then the market doesn't do what we want it to do. So
I'm still waiting on some returns on some money I put in a couple months
Shout
ago.
out to all my crypto investors, man. You know, it's definitely a roller coaster of a ride for sure. So rate of savings, meaning that's something that you can control, right? If you were able to save 10%, pay yourself first 10% of what you make, it's gonna open up way more doors. You're gonna have enough money for those rainy seasons, because as an entrepreneur, you know
They come.
It's inevitable, right? Business, there's slow seasons, especially if maybe you're in a seasonal business. Those slow seasons may come, and you're gonna need that cushion to just continue operating. Okay, so definitely appreciate you sharing that perspective and being able to share like your mindset about growing up and money and stuff like that. But now let's transition over to today, right? You're a online coach. Okay. You're a renowned worldwide speaker. You've spoken more countries than probably anybody's probably gonna ever visit in their lifetime. You know, so what do you think people misunderstand about making money online? Because that's something you really like to educate people on, the power of it. So what's something that you think people misunderstand about online income?
I think online income is one of the best things that are happening right now. I think what a lot of people don't understand is that right now we are in one of the biggest wealth transfers in the world, right? And we're going right now from what was once a very physical world to a very digital world. As you can see, even out here in Miami and all the big cities in the world, everything is going digital, bro, from money to, you know, the different restaurants that are now having robots serve us, and everything that we have to think about it, bro. We don't even need our wallets nowadays anymore. We could go anywhere and we could Apple Pay, tap everything. So it's like right now what a lot of people are not understanding is that, we have to get with the times, right? It's not about us trying to force you to make money online. It's going to be a necessity in the next couple years. You know, my mentor once told me, he said, right now it's not a necessity, but in the future it's going to be priority, because if you're not making money online, then you're going to be left behind, right? It's like you're not taking advantage of the internet when it first started. Eventually you're going to have to use the internet because you're going to need it for everything. It's the same thing with the digital money. I think people just really need to understand that this is here for us. Let's take advantage of it. Let's stop being people that wait for things to blow up or wait for things to, you know, go mainstream to actually start taking advantage of it. I lived my whole life behind the curve, right? Behind the 8 ball, trying to wait and catch up. I finally feel good that I'm ahead of the curve, bro. I feel so good that I learned all these different skill sets that are teaching me how to make money online and all these different things, because now I get to help my people, which is something that we want to do, right? We talk about this, and I think that that's something people want to do, because we're going to put our families in position now, right? We have our families in position. And my mom wanted to learn how to buy crypto. I got her, right? If one of my family members wanted to learn how to start an online store for Shopify, Etsy, etc., I got them. Right? If somebody wanted to learn how to build a crypto portfolio, I know how to do that. You want to set up a coaching program with courses and everything, I know how to do all those things. So these are all skills that people nowadays are looking at it and they're just like, whatever, it's what it is. But it's skills that are going to be priorities in the next couple of years. And I think before 2030 is going to get like this. So
I agree.
I think it's something that people really need to start taking advantage of 100%.
I'm so glad that you even mentioned that, because from a business perspective, we have to understand when companies are out here trying to determine how can they be more efficient, the first thing that's going to go are the high overhead costs. And what are the biggest overhead costs in most businesses?
clients and
people, just employees and stuff, physical employees, right?
Physical employees.
So being able to, or office buildings, places where people have to go and actually work. And a lot of businesses have transitioned to online only or online staff only or remote work. And that's becoming,
AI.
It's our norm. With AI coming in is replacing a lot of jobs.
Not to cut you off, the other day I went to, I don't know if you saw the Miami World Business Forum where
I saw it,
Trump, Serena, at the Kaseya Center, Serena Williams, and I heard Serena Williams speak, and they were asking her questions about businesses, and one of the questions that they asked her was like, is there anything that you look for in a company that you're going to invest your money in? And the first thing she said is, are they using AI or not? Are they using AI? Because if they're not using it, then I don't want to work with them. I'm not willing to invest my money in companies that are not using AI, because that means that they're behind the curve, because she knows the future already. She's in those conversations in those big rooms where she knows that, going digital and AI is going to take over in the next 3 to 5 years. So we have to be getting with the times. And my mentor always told me, he said, Neno, follow the money. Follow the money. If that's where everybody's going, AI, then start to understand that. So it's everything that you're saying, bro. We have to get with the times. Is so important because it's happening right in front of us and it's here now.
No, for sure. You're currently, that's that right there. We can't stress that enough. As many times we tell people we're on these podcasts or we're on the stage talking or we're doing webinars or doing workshops, it's very imperative that people buy into this. It's very important. So what's a main reason why you think a lot of people quit too early?
It's many reasons, bro, but I think the main reason is because they never take the time to truly educate themselves. I think lack of education is what causes confusion. And then when you think about it, whenever you're doing something that you're confused about, you don't understand too much about it, then
you don't see the value in
it. You don't see the value in it. And then eventually you're just like, this is not for me. One of the things that I realized when I jump into any business or when I jump into any new skill set is, Neno, get yourself educated. Because if you get yourself educated, you can understand it better. If you can understand it better, then you're willing to do the work that's required in order for you to be able to become successful at that specific skill or that specific business. But people nowadays, because of Instagram and all the distractions and everything, people never truly take the time to get educated, bro. So I always tell people nowadays, one of the best advices that, when a new person joins my business or anything, they always ask me, Neno, what's the best piece of advice you could give me? And I always tell them, be the best student you can be. I literally give them all the same advice. I ask them, I'm like, think about what a great student in school used to be, right? A great student in school sits in front of the class. They ask a lot of questions. They study. They do all the homework, right? And if you do all of that, you'll be a great student, right? You have a relationship with the teacher. I do the same thing in business, bro. When I join any business, I'm asking all the questions. I'm studying every day. I'm building a relationship with the mentor, the teacher. I'm doing the homework. I'm doing what's required. And because I do that, it sets me apart from the rest of the group. I'm not in the back of the class just talking, relaxing, distracted. And then when questions are being asked, I don't know what the answers to them are. No, I'm the one raising my hand. I know all the answers. I studied last night. I did my work. I'm passing all the tests. And because I'm able to do that in business, that has allowed me to grow a lot and understand businesses a lot better. So I always tell people, be the best student you could be, because that is what's going to set you apart and allow you to have the education that you need to see the value in something so that then you could believe in it and then be able to actually be successful in it. And that's the key.
That is... You just broke that down. So I can't wait for this to go live. So that way people can actually hear that. So you actually heard that, right?
Yeah, that was
a good student. That's the biggest thing that we can emphasize is be a student. If you want to get into anything, we prioritize education first. So you can understand the value and the information that you're going to be consuming. And you have people like Neno, like myself, who are educators in our respective fields. And that's one of the most important things that we just recommend. Is just be a student, so that way you see the value in it, and then that way you can buy into this process, because we all know things don't happen overnight.
No, they don't. So take time for sure.
I definitely want to just take this next segment here to really transition over to a little bit more of the personal side of you.
Please. All right?
We're gonna get a little bit of a little vulnerable here.
Please.
All right.
I love the vulnerability.
We're gonna talk about some money mistakes, some struggles, and comeback moments. I feel like that's very important, because people are going to see that you are currently where you're at now, but because of all those struggles and because of the comebacks that you've experienced in your life. So
Yeah.
what was one of the toughest financial moments in your life to date?
Easily, bro, it would have to be going back to like the beginning of like 2021. 2021 was my biggest year of my life. It was right after COVID. 2020, I made the most amount of money. But the biggest mistake I made, bro, was I set up no savings account. I had no financial structure. I didn't pay my taxes that year. It was just one of those things that every possible mistake that you can make with money, I made it. Like, it was just one of those things where I was just such at a high, and I was living my money and going back to how I grew up, getting it and spending it, getting it and spending it. Dinners, let's go out here, vacations, clothes, drip, all the things, because it was my first time making any real money. You know, I started entrepreneurship in 2017. I didn't really start making any real money till 2020. So that was my first year of actually
Tasting your fruits.
tasting real success, but I did nothing with it. I just got it and spent it. And even though the moments that I had, I'm forever grateful for them, the places I traveled to, the experiences I gave myself, they were great. But then I ended up paying for it all of 2022, 2023, and now 2024, things started to turn around for me. And now 2025, you know, I was able to get back on my feet strong, now making more money than ever, et cetera. But it cost me a couple years, those mistakes that I made, and still working on getting back. And, you know, I messed up my credit, all those things, bro, that, you know, didn't pay taxes. There's just so much I could have done that now that I know so much more. If I could go back to 2021, I would have structured things up so much better. I would have had a savings account. I would have made sure my credit didn't get messed up. I would have made sure I would have been taking that 30%, putting it aside every check for taxes that I didn't do. Like, there was just so many things that I made, so many mistakes I made during that time that had I known better, I would have done better. But those things have to happen for me to learn those lessons. So if there's anybody watching this right now and you're making a lot of money, please don't make the same mistakes that I made. Don't mess up your credit. Don't avoid your taxes with the IRS, right? Have that savings account, have that emergency fund, seek help, have a mentor, have a CPA, all these things that I wish I would have known back then. Please learn it from me, because I always teach there's two ways to learn. You either learn from your experiences or you can learn from other people's experiences. Take my experience and learn from it, because that's one of the most important things that I want to be able to teach more people moving forward. And I'm glad that you're doing this podcast, because I know that that's one of your intentions, is to wake more people up and make more people aware of the mistakes that people that you're going to be interviewing have made over the years that we can avoid in the future.
No, for sure. It ties into everything. And in my perspective career, I deal with this on a daily basis. So I hear people's mistakes. I hear
Horror
their
stories,
goals.
I could imagine.
I hear every single story, and I actually have access to their full financial picture. So you can tell when you look at somebody's finances. Like, when I look at somebody's finances, I'm able to tell the story. Like, it tells me, like, okay, this is how this person's been operating their entire life. So my job is to help you restructure it and punch you to the right direction. That's really what I'm really excited about and stuff like that. I'm glad that you mentioned seeking help. Seeking help has helped me personally, seeking mentorship, and now I'm able to provide this for other people now. And it's one of the biggest blessings. And I want to ask you, you ever thought of quitting at one point in that transition from 2021 to 2025?
Yeah.
Have you ever just thought about it? Like, I just
many times, bro. You know, it goes through your head. It passes like, yo, damn, like, I should have maybe just worked a job. You know, I've even thought about going back to working a job. Like, I mean, I've never worked a job, but I've thought about it. Like, maybe, you know what, maybe I should get a part-time gig, or, you know, maybe this is not for me. You know, you have those doubts, especially when you're down and out. You're going through it at the time. Also, I went through a really tough breakup. Everything was just like, you almost felt, I almost hit rock bottom again. You know, it was like, but this time it was a different rock bottom than the rock bottom I hit when my baseball career came to an end. And you have those thoughts of fear, doubt, insecurity. Should I quit? Maybe this is not for me. But, you know, I always have that never quit mentality. So, like, even though you have the thoughts, and I'm sure everybody that's listening to this, they have them, and I'm sure you've had them as well. You just, it's like a moment. It's like a moment, and then you just snap out of it.
We've all probably gone on Indeed.com to be like, yo, listen, am I cut out for this? Let me see what job can apply. Dude. And then you apply. Let's say you apply, because I've done this. I've applied and then I get denied. And I'm like, all right, that's just confirmation. God does not want me to go that route.
No way. And I've reached out to my friends like, yo, you got any open positions in there? Like, just to see, just in case. But eventually I just pushed through it, bro. And I'm like, yo, you know what? This is just molding me. This is helping me become a better version of myself. These are just lessons I got to learn. I got to restructure back up and get back locked in. And thank God I never quit, bro, because had I quit, I would have never been able to accomplish the things that I was able to accomplish till this day. All glory to God. But thank God he gave me that strength in those moments that were hard, bro, because there were moments throughout the journey that were very, very hard. And I felt like, I'm like, yo, am I going to be able to make it? But, he pushes through and he's graceful, man. And
it's all about repetition, man. This past Sunday at service, Pastor Rich was talking about repetition. And we just got to keep on doing it. Keep showing up every single day, because that's what's going to allow us to achieve the things that we want to achieve, to really see the fruits of your labor. And lots of people, they're inconsistent. They either quit before they get to their destination, and repetition is one of the biggest things anybody can do. Can't stop. You got to keep going. This is a grind every single day. And you want to be able to just stay disciplined as much as you can. I know it's hard. Discipline runs out eventually. Willpower runs out eventually. That's why we need a higher power like God to really be there with us when we're at our lowest. And I'm sure we will talk about faith and how that's impacted your life. But before we do, I want to transition to like daily habits, routines, and money disciplines. These are things that you talk a lot about on your podcast in Mornings with Neno, and you really emphasize, and you're very good at routine. I see you post every single morning about, hey, you read your book, you listen to your audio, everything. So let's talk about how has routine impacted your financial decisions? Like, how is that something from now and this point in your life? How has a routine impacted your financial decisions?
That's such a great question. Routines go back to baseball. It goes back to sports. You know how it is getting to the field, from the way you put on your uniform to the way you stretch. I'm a creature of routine. So like my whole life has been built on routine. So over the years, what I've done with even now in business with my financial routine, like, now every time I get paid, I know that I got to start tithing, right? So I started getting into tithing, and I started doing that every single Friday. Now, I actually do it on Sundays when I go to church, I tithe there, but that's part of my routine now. Every Sunday when I go to church, whether I'm there or not, even if I watch it online, it's a routine for me. Yeah. I know every Sunday I got to do that. On Fridays when I get paid, I know I'm taking a percentage of that and I'm putting it into a savings, and I'm also putting a percentage of that into an investment account. So automatically, I know that the moment I get paid, I got three things I got to do. I got to make sure, number one, I tithe. Number two, savings. Number three, investments. And then the rest is for expenses and et cetera, and things I got to take care of, my family and all of that stuff. But I know that's a routine for me. 1, 2, 3, tithe, savings, investments. And that has helped me out so much, because sometimes what a lot of people don't understand is just the routine of it and the repetition of it. Like you were saying, it compounds, bro.
Yeah.
Like people think it's not a lot, but if you're saving an extra $100 a day, or if you're investing a little extra $100 a week, whatever it is, you do that over 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years,
10 years, bro.
10 years. Yeah. And as you start making more, the percentages change, right? Because, 10%, you making $10,000 a month is different from 10% when you're making $50,000 a month, right? Yeah. So it starts to compound. And that's what I started to realize. I used to think that, because I'm only investing a small amount, that it wasn't a lot, or because I'm only saving a small amount, it wasn't enough. But what I started to realize is that when you do it consistently, bro, you start to see the numbers add up in your bank account and in your investment accounts. And then you make a good investment. Next thing you know, that investment blows up, and now you have even more than enough money. So I think routine is so important. And what I tell people, and it was something that my mentor told me, and I want to teach it to you guys, that is not about the amount that you invest, it's about the habit. All right. A lot of us, sometimes we think that we need to invest a lot, but in reality, it's just the habit of it, doing it every Friday, every 2 weeks, every month, but get in the habit of doing it consistently. Because the bad thing that we grew up on is, like I told you, we get the money, we spend, and then we see to invest whatever we have left. Yeah. But I read a book that says, get paid invest first and then spend what's left. Right. And that has stuck with me now. And that's what I do now. That's what I kind of did my own 1, 2, 3. I was like, okay, I get paid, tithe, savings, invest, and spend the rest. And now at least I was able to take care of my priorities first and then do the rest later. So
I always like to, yeah, that is key. I always like to talk to people when I have my meetings. We want to help position you to save by default, not by decision. How many times do people actually say, oh, I'm just going to save whatever is left over, and they never end up saving?
They never saving anything. Right? I used to be that person.
That's one of the biggest issues that a lot of people face financially, is they're relying on willpower to make these decisions. When you start creating that's the systems, and you start creating the structure, you're actually putting yourself in a position to not have to rely on your actual willpower.
Yep.
And you're just relying on the structure and the routine to be able to just make those decisions for you. Sometimes there's ways to automate this sort of stuff as well. And that's amazing that you've been able to build those proper habits. And
they changed everything for me.
It really changed everything for you. So would you say that's one of the most proud things that you are proud about right now in terms of money habits, like really being able to tithe consistently, save more consistently, and really being able to allocate money? Would you say that's one of your most proudest habits?
For sure. But I think, that also as well. But just like you said, having that routine was everything for me, bro. Yeah. Like, I'm just so grateful now that I have awareness of this, because a lot of people don't have it. And now that I have the awareness and I see what it's doing for my life, people don't understand, bro. This brings a certain level of peace. Like, the peace that I feel financially right now is insane, bro. I didn't have this peace when I was struggling financially, and I had all this debt, and I had all these things that were on me. It almost feels like this weight that you carry. It's like the monkey on your back analogy, right? Where it's just like, oh man, I have all this weight on me. But now that, because I'm managing myself a lot more responsible, and I'm being more careful with the way that I spend my money, bro, the amount of peace that it brings me, that allows me now to think more clear, build my business more clear, helps my relationships. It helps every area of my life, bro. And that's such an important place to be. And there was so many years that I lived in chaos and so many stress and so much, turmoil that I had to deal with, that now that I have more of that structure, and I'm still working on it, right? It's not that I got it all perfect, and
of course,
but it's still something I'm working on. It has brought me a level of peace that I wish more people could experience this. And that's why we're doing these podcasts, is to make people aware of this, so that they can reach those levels where they have that peace, they have that structure, they have those things that they can be proud of. And I pray that everybody can take this and have a routine and do the same thing, save, invest, tithe, and pay their taxes and all of that stuff, because it is something that we need,
I love that. And let's get into that topic, because tithing, faith, all that ties into our everyday lives.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, how has faith shaped the way you see money today?
It's everything, bro, because I read in the Bible, if you don't know how to manage small, God is not going to give you more to manage. And that used to be me. I remember there was this time in my business where I couldn't break making $10,000 a month. But it was because every time God would give me $10,000 a month, I would mismanage it. I would blow it. I wouldn't do anything right with it. And there was just this, it was almost, how he says they'll teach you the same lesson over and over and over again until you learn it. It wasn't until I consciously was like, okay, next time I get back to this income, this is how I'm going to manage my money. And I started to do it properly. Funny thing about it is I did it right. I passed the test. Now he gave me access to more money. Now I'm making 20. Now I'm making 30. But it wasn't until I passed that test, bro. I needed to learn how to manage small amounts of money. And it starts with even, making even smaller amounts, 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month. But it was learning how to manage my smaller amounts and not complaining about it, being grateful for it, bro.
Yeah.
Being grateful for what I did have, because there was so many others out there that didn't have access to that and didn't have access to making money online. So I had to start learning how to be grateful, because I used to be the one that I used to be complaining like, yo, I'm not making enough, and this sucks. I should be making more. And instead of learning, Neno, just be grateful for what you have. Be grateful that you're making 3,000 a month. Be grateful that you're making 5,000 a month. Find the love and the gratitude and learn how to manage these small amounts, because if you can't manage $5K a month, you're not going to be able to manage $50K a month.
Yep.
Right. So it was that idea that really helped me. And it was so important that I started building my relationship with God and having more faith, because it almost felt like I had somebody watching over me at all times. Neno, how are you going to manage this blessing that I gave?
Let me see what he's going to do with that money.
Let me see what he's going to do with that money. Are you going to go and spend it on this, and that? Or are you going to manage it properly this time around? So that was something that I started doing this year. I'm glad that you said that. Like literally, I had a prayer and I prayed to God even recently this year. And I was like, yo, God, next time that you bless me with whatever money resources, like this is how I want to manage it. And I want to let you know that I'm giving you my word. And just, it was a conversation that I was having with God.
Submit it all to God, man.
I was like, yo, just tell me what to do. What am I supposed to do with this money? I want to do what's right. Whatever is going to help us build the kingdom and whatever is going to help us help other people. That's what I want to do. I don't want to do it for my own selfish desires. I don't want to do that anymore. I've learned my lesson already. How can I use this money to serve you better? And that has been the biggest game changer for me, bro. And like having my faith and implementing that into my finances, game changing.
It is a game changer, and when we start really building off the correct foundation, and we realize that, especially this year, I would say for me personally, and I'm sure for you as well, is really being able to build off the correct foundation. We want to be able to build on a rock instead of building on sand.
This year was foundational for us,
foundational, and really being able to just understand that when we're submitting ourselves to God and we're submitting literally everything, our entire life, our finances, our relationships, our businesses, every single thing, it's truly like you're giving it all to him, and he's just going to flip it and just multiply it and bring it back down when you are showing that you are ready and prepared to be able to handle what's to come. So I'm glad that you spoke about God shaping you to manage 3, 5, 10, 20, 30, and at some point, maybe you don't even want to manage the money yourself. You can just have somebody manage it for you, right? Because you want to be able to focus on specific tasks. So that's my next question. Do you think entrepreneurs should work with financial strategists early on, or do you think once they attain a certain level of success is when they should prioritize and work with somebody who can help them guide them towards financial strategy?
That's a great question. I believe, and obviously I could be wrong, but I think that people in the beginning should learn how to manage things on their own, to see what they could do with the small amounts, right? Because in the beginning, it's kind of hard to hire a CPA and a financial planner. It costs money to have those things, right? So, in the beginning, I think it's important for people to learn basic strategies like the power of budgeting. Yep. How to budget your own money, how to save a certain percentage of each check that you get, etc. But I do believe that once you get to a certain income, you should start to delegate those things, right? Like now that's where I'm at. I'm leveraging my strengths and I'm delegating my weaknesses, right? I'm not the best at finances. That's not my expert field. My expert field is in speaking, coaching, being a digital entrepreneur, all these other things. So I'd rather stay good at what I'm good at. And if I can have somebody else manage my money, help me with my taxes, help me with this, help me with that, and I can pay them for that, because eventually that's time that I'm going to dedicate to that. So I'd rather leverage somebody else that is an expert at that field, because that's what I see all my millionaire friends do.
Yep.
My friends, they just focus on what they're good at. They're all multi-millionaires traveling the world, living their best lives, but they have everybody else delegating their weaknesses, which is what they're not good at. So I think in the beginning, it's important that people learn how to do at least a little bit of on their own so that they can learn simple, basic financial strategies like budgeting and saving and all of that. But I feel like eventually, once you get to a certain income level, you should start delegating out 100%, unless that's something that you're already an expert in,
Most definitely. And I loved how you answered that question, because I strongly believe that the basic fundamentals everyone should learn.
Yes, exactly.
Everyone should have some sort of basic fundamental of how to manage money, at least on the basic level. When you start making more money, that's when things get a little bit more complex. You start dealing with more problems, right? You start things just start getting a little bit harder to manage.
A lot harder.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it's true. right? When you attain a certain level of income, you're going to have certain problems like taxes and paying too much to the IRS and learning how to move your money into specific wealth buckets to be able to
Setting
save
up
money.
LLCs and all of that stuff.
Entity structure and all that stuff plays a very pivotal role in how you actually manage your finances. And that's why it's very important to get plugged in with a financial strategist that's able to really guide you once you attain that level of income, whatever goal of income that is. I think it's very important, and I'm glad you answered that in that particular manner. So
and to add to that, bro, it'll save you so much more like money in the future.
Yeah.
Like if I would have did it a lot earlier, I would have saved thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars had I done it earlier. But like you said, sometimes we don't know better. We think we could do it all our own, our ego, our pride. We don't want to pay the extra $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month for an expert. And that ends up costing us, some people cost them millions, you know? So I think that people need to not be cheap and make the investment, because I'm telling you, it's worth the investment 1,000,000% down the road.
I love the fact that you said investment, because I like to tell all my clients or prospects that my job is to have my services pay for itself through savings, whether it's through taxes or proper cash flow management processes that we're building, restructuring that, being able to really clean all your entire financial picture up. And all that is going to be able to save you money long term and actually put that money back into your wealth bucket that's actually going to be growing over time if you're actually putting that money into specific investment accounts and stuff like that.
That's so
important, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because a lot of people are afraid to open up with their finances to other people, other professionals. And it's very important to do so.
So important.
Right? Even just to just get an analysis done, I think it's very, very important and crucial to at least have some sort of awareness on where you currently stand right now and what gaps you currently have in your financial picture, because that's going to allow you to really know where to go, because you can't really know where to go unless you actually know where you're at. So I feel like that's very, very important. So as we wrap up, you know, I definitely want to talk about legacy, purpose, and just future vision, because I think it's very important to have those things. And I want to ask you, what does legacy mean to you right now? That's a very big, powerful word. And obviously that's the name of the podcast here. All right. But what does legacy mean to you right now?
Legacy means, when I think about legacy, I think of what are you going to be remembered for, right? Are you going to be remembered for somebody that, you know, impacted others, inspired others with your actions? Or are you going to be remembered for somebody that just kind of, it was a passerby? I never want to be somebody that just passed by. I want to make sure that when my time here is over and, you know, I transcend and I do what I'm supposed to do here, that people remember me for somebody that led with his heart, put God first, inspired others with his actions. Everybody that he spoke to, he left them better than he found them, communities and people in general. It was just, that's what legacy is all about for me. And I just want to be the best example for my future kids, right? So that they can have something to follow, because at the end of the day, one of the things that I always teach people is that eventually somebody's going to have to walk through the mud so that the future generation can walk on marble. I'm the one that had to walk through the mud. You're walking through the mud with me, right? But in the future, our kids and our future generations are going to be walking on marble because of everything that we did. And that's what legacy is to me, walking through the mud now so that the future can walk on marble. And that was something that, you know, I learned through the years, that, you know, a good man leaves an inheritance for his generations to come. And that's something that I want to be able to do, because, you know, my parents didn't do it for me. I'm grateful for everything that they've done for me, though. I'm not saying it from a place of
they only knew what they knew.
Bitterness. They did what they did. They did what they could with what they knew. Yeah. But it's my job now. I'm holding the receipt in my hand, and it's my turn to pay the price and make sure that I'm the one that changes everything from this point moving forward. Like, I'm the one that changes the generation moving forward, so that the next couple of generations have the wisdom, have the knowledge, understand the importance of putting God first and structure and foundation and everything, so that now the rest of the generations can live good. And that's what I think of when I think of legacy, bro.
I love that. I love how you answered that question, bro, because legacy can mean a lot of things for different people.
So many people, yeah, of course.
And the fact that you just said everything that you just said, I know it's gonna reach the masses, right? once you post this, once you share this, like a lot of people are going to really see the power in what you just said, because that's what it's really all about. Us as men on this earth, we are given a God-given purpose to really being able to provide and protect our families, and be able to leave that legacy for our family and our kids when we're no longer here, right? The future generations. Our God is not a God of just one generation. He's a God of many generations. He's here to bless many generations to come if you obviously put him first.
Exactly.
And you follow your calling that he has for you. So
Exactly.
I feel like that's very important. So I want to ask you, maybe you probably spoke about this privately to some people, but what is next for Neno? Like, what is something that you've been working on? What is something that's next for you in this next season in your life in 2026? I want you to talk to the audience and just tell them something about what's something that's next for you.
Yeah, I'm really working right now on expanding my brand. My brand has really grown a lot in the last couple months, but now I'm getting into retreats. I'm hosting retreats, luxury wellness retreats all around the world. I'm doing a lot of private one-on-one coaching, helping people with personal development, consulting them on how to, structure up their businesses so they can scale. I'm also doing a lot of courses. I'm getting into courses, helping people a lot with one-on-one mentorship, which is something that I'm very excited about as well. A lot of traveling. I love traveling, bro. So that's something that I'm looking forward to as well. And just consulting, dog. Like this season in my life, I'm all about helping other business owners and being able to give back to those younger individuals that need that guidance, that need that help. Because, there's this saying that says, no one's coming to save you. But no one came to save me in a way, but I want to be able to save others, people that deserve to be saved, people that actually want it. Because I remember struggling as an entrepreneur, bro, and nobody threw me a bone. Nobody gave me a hand. And all I needed, I remember it in those moments, somebody give me a hand, bro. Just give me a pointer, give me some guidance, give me a book to read. And nobody gave it to me, and for a moment I was like, I used to always remember that saying when people would say, no one's coming to save you. No one's coming to save you, Neno. But then when I feel like I got saved and I now have access, I'm like, I want to save others. I want to throw somebody a good book. I want to be able to sit down with somebody for free. Let me consult you. Let me guide you on how to structure up your business. Let me show you how to set up a coaching business, how to throw retreats, how to write your book. That's something I'm also working on. I'm writing a book right now as well. But this is something that I want to work. So when it comes to what's next for me, I'm doing books, I'm doing journals, coaching, retreats, consulting, so much more, that speaking engagements, getting into heavy speaking engagements, teaching others how to get paid to speak.
Yeah.
There's just so much things that I'm doing, bro. A lot of networking, a lot of traveling, but yeah, bro, a lot of ththings are next.
I love
2026 is going to be a magical year, and it's all glory to God,
all
man.
glory to God, man. I'm so happy. And I'm sure not a lot of people have told you this privately or publicly, or I'm sure they have, but I just personally want to tell you that you're an inspiration.
Thank you, bro.
And I always used to tell people that I'm proud of them, right? But I no longer tell people I'm proud of them unless I've actually achieved what they've been able to achieve, right? Like once I told somebody I was proud of them, this one time I was asked, for what? You never have done what I've done before. If anything, I should inspire you. So that right there really resonated with me, and no matter what level I'm in, if I'm at a higher level or whatever, lower level, you're an inspiration to me and what you've been able to accomplish, right? And I think
my brother,
you're an inspiration to countless many other people, right? I think that's very crucial. So maybe you can take that for the future. I'm sure you tell a lot of people. You see a lot of people who you're probably proud of them, but now, hey man, you inspire me. You're inspiring me to be better, to take more action, and understand that I'm on the right path to just continue growing and just continue building from here. So I do want to just leave you with that. And I do want to thank you so much for being on this with me. And I think it's going to be able to impact the conversation that we just had, be able to impact many people. Hopefully they're able to watch this through I do want to give you the opportunity to just let the people know where they can find you, right? Whether it's social media, just let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, nah, for sure. You guys can find me on Instagram. That's basically like my main source of communication. You can find me on Instagram at Long Live Neno, Neno. And I also have a retreats page as well now for if there's anyone that's interested in coming to any of my future retreats. I'm going to be hosting them all around the world. The Instagram is at Retreats by Neno. Neno, same thing. And then I also have another Instagram. It's called Mornings With Neno. Instagram is kind of like my main hub. And then from there, we'll be able to connect and move forward from there, bro. Oh, and also my podcast as well. You can listen to my podcast. Subscribe to it as well. It's all platforms, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud. It's called Mornings With Neno. You guys can listen to it anywhere. Show some love. It was a top 100 podcast the last couple of years. So it's definitely something that, you guys can get a lot of value from. But thank you, bro. I appreciate it. And
of course.
I'm grateful that you started this, man. I know this is the beginning of something incredible. You're going to inspire so many people, so many leaders, so many entrepreneurs, bro. And I'm glad that you're just following your calling, bro. That's the most important thing. And thank you, bro. Thank you for having me, man. The pleasure was mine.
No, for sure. Likewise, man. I think for me, it's definitely been something that I can connect with what I actually do for a living, and really being able to share other people's stories as well. I think I'm able to connect with more people when I'm able to share other people's stories, and the fact that you're able to share, be vulnerable, it's amazing. But before we wrap up, I definitely want to let people know here, we are a brand new channel. I would just appreciate you comment, like, and subscribe to this channel. We're just trying to grow it and really being able to just invite more guests. If you know anybody who wants to be on, you can always send them my way. My Instagram is Anthony J. Pastrana on Instagram. You can reach out to me there. And you can also follow our Instagram is at Legacy Ledger Podcast on Instagram as well. I think it's going to be an opportunity for many people to really just hear the stories. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about money habits. We're going to talk about financial management and how the leaders have been able to just get to where they're at now and how they're currently navigating their finances. Me as a financial professional, I do want to give you the opportunity to really know where you currently stand with your finances. And with that, below on the comment section, I am going to drop a link here where you can actually get the free financial health assessment done, see where you're currently at financially. And then from there, if you want to reach out, we can also schedule that call. All right. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Until next time.